Good morning again, guys. We have already touched based on a lot of topics related to Postman. Most important among them is your writing your test cases, help of Postman, and we also have seen how to use prerequisite script and how to use a collection variable, global variable, environmental variable, and when to use which variable, right? Because there are a lot of options available. You have local variable, collection variable, environment variable, and then global variable. You need to know when to use which one. Okay, that's very important. And apart from that, we also seen about monitors. Okay, if there is a use case in your company tomorrow that they want to check whether your production website is up and running all the time, just create a monitor. Okay, that's a very simple task. Okay, create a monitor and then try to hit that particular endpoint, get the 200 response back and assert it. Okay, that's the very easiest way to do this. Okay, and most importantly, guys, this if you are using a free version of Postman, then you may have you can only use 1,000 monitors per month. Okay, I think that is some restrictions. 1,000 monitors is more than enough for practicing. Okay, but if you are trying to leverage this in your company, make sure that they have a licensed version, so have you can have unlimited number of monitoring calls. Okay, now we have almost learned about all these things, but there is two separate topics that I want to cover, though this is not very uh, mandatory topic, but I want to cover because I have already done that. Okay, first one is documentation, and second one is mocking. Okay, we have used JSON server. Okay, we have used JSON server. Again, guys, I have already switched on my JSON server by this command. Okay, I have this up and running. Okay, so uh, there is two things, mocking and documentation. We're going to see about the documentation first, then we can also see how we can do mocking using Postman. Previously we used JSON server, where we hit something, it gives you the response back. Okay, the same way we're going to use Postman to create mock server for us. Okay, first let's focus on documentation. Okay, most of the problem that a manual tester face when they join a new company is because they don't have proper documentation on what is the proper endpoint. Okay, what is the get endpoint, what is the response that we will get. Okay, we don't have a proper stuff documented, because documenting them is request time. Okay, you need to create a Word document, and then you need to tell endpoint, and then you need to, if there is a body, you need to put the body there. Sometimes the body will be very big. Again, it will be difficult to read all those things, and you get a different responses in each time. Okay, so documenting them in a Word or another format is very very difficult. So that's why people normally use Postman to document. There are other tools available as well, but Postman is something that is really cool. Okay, so we have seen about this regression collection, right? So where we normally get send this request, we get a response back. Okay, mock not found error. Okay, I have used mocking for this. This is your prod environment. Okay, okay, now when I hit this endpoint, okay, we are getting the response back. Okay, so this is the kind of document that I want to set. Okay, when I hit this, you get this response back. Okay, now by default Postman would have generated some documentation. Let's see what is that. Okay, just click on these three dots on the collection. Okay, this documentation is available for a collection level. Okay, just click on that and click on this view documentation. If you notice, it has given the name of the collection. Okay, and then it is having a get endpoint. Okay, if you make a get call to this, okay, you can get a response back. If you make a post call to this, you get a response back, and this is your input body. Okay, and then for if you want to get a information about a specific user, you add ID as a path parameter. Okay, only limited informations are available. Maybe for the put, again, you have the body, but we don't have the response here. Okay, but in my case, I also want to document the response. Okay, apart from that, you can also add description. Okay, this collection is created to basically demonstrate about how we can perform, okay, crude operations with request dummy APIs. Okay, something like this, whatever. So in the preview, you can also have a preview on how it look like. Okay, now click on save. So I have added just a couple of lines of descriptions. You can add more, it depends upon your use case. Okay, whatever you want to add, you can add. Again, for the get request, again, you can add more response. Okay, this is your for get request. Okay, this fetches the details about all the users, something like this. Okay, whatever. Okay, so this is how basically you can create documentation. But suppose I also want to see the response also here, then go to the get request call. Okay, by default it won't populate you with the responses. Okay, you have to do some work. Okay, click on send. Once you click on send, you get a response back. In this response, okay, click on the three dots, click on add example. Okay, once you add example, if you notice under this there is a new thing here. Okay, maybe you can name it as get users valid get call, something like this. Okay, for valid get call you might get this kind of response. That's the thing that I am stored now. Okay, now you can close this. Now again click on view documentation. This time if you notice, when you make a call, get call like this, okay, this is giving you get users valid get call. Okay, and then it is also choosing some libraries. If you want to click on this, you can click. So unirest is again a library in Java like rest assured, where you can use it to hit this particular request with the form of code. Here we have used Postman. You can also use this code in Eclipse or IntelliJ. Using this library, you can hit this request and get the response back, and then you can assert the body. Okay, this is the basic code that they have given. You can choose whatever the language you want to choose. Suppose in the top you have, if you want to C# or C# rest of code, then again you can use this. If you want some other library, so you can go here and then choose whatever you feel comfortable. Okay, if you want PHP, then you can use PHP. Okay, so this is basically the code snippet that can help you again. But importantly, notice now you have the response. Okay, if you click on this to expand, so this is the response that you normally get for a valid get call. So the documentation is very clear now. Okay, again it will Unicode is yeah, it's a library. Yeah, it's an API as well. Yeah, Unirest, not Unicode. Unirest. Okay, good. So these are all libraries available in different languages. Okay, okay. So this is how basically you can create response for the even for the post call. Suppose I want to make a post call. Okay, click on first. Now you want to add this as an example. Okay, so this is create user valid post call, something like this. Okay, suppose you want to get the user. Okay, so this is getting you the user. Okay, again I can add get user valid get call, something like this. Okay, suppose sometime you want to also mention invalid request, right? So maybe this ID is basically fetched from collection, right? Let's go to the collection, change this to maybe yeah. Okay, now if I click on send, okay, this is basically fetching me from somewhere. Collection level int variable. Okay, it is generating automatically. Maybe what I can do is suppose if you send some invalid values. Okay, here let's go here and remove this from collection variable, hard coded with some data. Okay, now click on send. Now you get something 404 form. Now this is an invalid post call, right? So I also want to document this. Okay, add example, and here I can document it's a get user but invalid or 404 or 404 response, something like this, whatever you feel comfortable. So same way you can add a lot of examples so that it is clear for all the people who are reading this documentation. Once you do this, okay, now we have created much better documentation than before. Let me close this, force close all tabs, view documentation. Okay, and then if you notice there is a link called publish. Okay, you can now publish this and then make everyone in the world know about your collection. Okay, click on publish. You can share it this to your vendor. Suppose you have developed your APIs, you want to share it with your vendors. Okay, you cannot share all this collection. Okay, it's not understandable all the time, so maybe you can also share it with the documentation. Okay, click on URL. So now this will create a URL from which everyone can access. Okay. So now you can choose whatever. Suppose you want to choose any domain, you can also choose that. So maybe here I can choose prod. Okay, environment. So single column or double column, how what kind of styling you want. Okay, you can choose all these things. But apart from that, I'll just click on publish collection. Just click on the view documentation. If you notice, now we have clearly drafted our stuff. Okay, this is your URL, API users, and here again the language is C URL. You can change this to maybe Java Unirest. Now it is giving me all these options. This is the response that you normally get. If you want to maximize, you can also maximize. You can copy paste from here. If you want to wrap all these lines, you can also use this. Okay, but basically it gives you clear documentation for create users. Okay, this is a endpoint, and this is a valid post call. For valid post call, you might get a response like this. Okay, it's all here. And for get user, we have two options, right? One is valid get call, one is 404. So there is a drop down here. If we add more examples, there will be more here. Okay, suppose I want to see how a 404 response for this call will be. I can click this, and then now if you notice, this is the response you will get, and this, and you will also get 404. Okay, so basically this gives you, if you give a ID as 50, then you get this 404. Okay, that's how easy it is actually giving you. Okay, update users, we didn't add any examples. You can add more examples, and now it is very complete. This documentation is very complete. Anyone can understand this. Okay, once you publish, you can copy the published link from here, and then you can share it with anyone. Suppose your managers or your clients, whoever you want to share, you can also share it with anyone. Okay, so I'm guys sending you this particular documentation. Okay, once you do that, okay, maybe sorry guys, what I'm, so I am just opening this. Once you open this, okay, now everyone will see like this. If you open that particular link in your web browser, okay, you may see like this. If you want to also, you know, run this directly in Postman, you can just click on run in Postman. It will directly import the collection into your Postman, and then it will run it. So if you click on this, it is asking what you want to run, where you want to run. I want to use my desktop app. Just click on this. It is asking for the permission. I'm clicking OK. So it is telling which workspace you want to import. And then once you import in a particular workspace, you can just click on run, and then you can run it. Okay. So that's how simple it is. Okay. So now you have documentation. You also shared the collection also. Okay. They can easily run it wherever they want. Okay. Good. So this is the beauty of Postman. If in your company you didn't have a documentation so far, create a documentation using Postman and then give a demo to your managers. They will be impressed. Okay. So this is the first step. Any doubts so far from you guys before we go further? Again, guys, if you want to change something like include boilerplate codes, means it will also include the import statements. Okay, if you want to change the, you know, some you know, prettify all these things, then you can also do the settings. Okay, yeah, so that's all about it. If you have any doubts, please ask it now. Otherwise, we'll head to the mocking. Any doubts? Guys, yes or no will be great for me. Uh, no, okay, thank you. So we'll go to the next topic. So this is all about collections with okay, thank you. Good. So now we have also learned about that. We have only one topic pending, that is marking. Previously we used JSON server to mark stuff, but let's also try to do the marking with the help of Postman. Okay, let's say I want to have an URL which if I hit, it has to give me a 200 response back. Okay, so let's say I want to mark a mark server. Okay, just click on this, create mark server. Okay, so I want to make a get call. If I make a get call to this particular endpoint, so let's say I'm making the endpoint as ping. So if I say ping, the response body needs to send me a message. If I say ping, it has to respond me pong. Okay, that's a very simple requirement, right? So guys, if I make a get call to this ping method, it has to return me 200 response, and it also needs to return me a response body of pong. Okay, so this is my expectation, right? So let's click on next. Okay, choose your mock server name. Okay, this is maybe demo mock, something like this. Okay, so I don't choose an environment for now. Okay, save the mock server URL as environment variable, that's okay, and then click on create mock server. That's it, guys. Within 1 second you have created this. Just click on copy mock URL. Okay, and then you can go to the collection now, and if you notice there is a new collection that is created. Okay, just click on this. If you guys notice there is a URL that is now pointing to wrong environment. Let's just change this environment to demo mock. So this is the mock server that we have created. If I hover this mouse over this, so if you notice the postman has generated some random URL for me, 085cc55, all these things. Okay, now if you hit a send button now, you get a message back as pong. Okay, 200. Okay, okay, now I can send this to anyone. Okay, so if I want to do some testing, okay, then I can use the marking from the postman itself. I don't have to use JSON server, all those stuff. Okay, this way I can customize like how I want. Suppose tomorrow I want to change the message. Okay, then I can create one more mark, and then I can basically work with all of that. Okay, so this is the beauty of using postman. Suppose let's assume I also want to create one more mark. Okay, then also you can add it. Create a mock. This time I want to create a mock for a post call. Okay, then post call mock. Okay, I'll create it as a separate collection. Okay, if you want to create in the same collection, you can also do that. But it's better you create a separate collection. It's up to you.
It seems you selected monitors.
Sorry.
We need to go from the monitor tab.
Yeah, you can go from the monitor tab, or you can, if you have already the collection with you, okay, you can also go here and then create monitor collection, which will basically help you to create um, uh, sorry, mock collection, which will help you to create dummy mock servers for all the requests in the response available in the particular collection. Okay, if there are 4 requests, then it will try to create mock for all the 4. Okay, so better we go here to this marking, and then we create our own mock. Okay, sorry, I have used monitors, but it has to be mock servers. Okay, just click on new, and then this time I'm making a post call. Request URL is say /post. Okay, and then I want the response code of 201. Okay, and what is the response body that you are getting? So in my case, in the post call, I also want to send a request body. Okay, then you can add a request body column, and you can give the request body here. Okay, so my request body is something like it's about whatever you want to customize, you can customize. So here I'm just saying message as thing. If I give like a response like this, sorry, request body like this, I want to see a response like something like this. Okay, then this is what we want, right? So let's click on next. Okay, mock server name is post call mock. Okay, something like this, and it will create a new mock environment variable, so I don't have to choose the existing one. Create mock server, click on this. Okay, now you can copy this URL, or you can go to the collections, and then if you notice there will be a new collection here created. Just click on this. If you notice the URL is still pointing to the old one, I need to change this to my post call mock. Okay, now the URL will be changed. Okay, now click on send. Okay, you're getting the response back as message form. Okay, even though this is all getting automatically you know by itself. Okay, so this basically helps us to do mocking, right? So now this I can use it anywhere. Okay, if I even open my browser, okay, I go to this particular endpoint and click on post. Maybe I don't have the body now, so this body is not matching, so it's not working. Maybe I'll take example of the get call. Okay, go to this is the get call, and let's go to this, copy this. If I go, sorry, ping. double check your method and the request path and try again. Maybe the method is not able to find it. Should work. Mhm. Mark request not found error, but here it's working. Double check your method and the request path. Try again. No matching request. Okay, sorry.
The path you have double slash.
Yeah. Just a minute. No. It's all about the environment here. So again, I need to change it. Now we're getting back. So copy this. I'm using the wrong endpoints for everything. Okay, so just copy it. Yes. Single slash and double slash doesn't make much difference, guys. So it's okay. So ping. Okay. Now we are getting the response back. So you can use this to play around with all the stuff. Okay. This mark server response getting failed. No, because see, this mark response is now available in the stored in the cloud, Postman Cloud. Okay, now this will be accessible by anyone, even across the globe. This is accessible. If someone is hitting this endpoint, see, that's what I'm doing. I'm hitting it from my browser URL. So this is basically coming from, this response is basically coming from a cloud hosted by Postman. So anyone can access this endpoint, and then they could able to practice all their stuff. Okay, or you can also use it for real-time mocking. Okay, you can construct a very big JSON response. All those things are possible. But yeah, there are better tools, but Postman can also come handy if you want to quickly create a mock server. Maybe the Postman is a better way. Okay, good. So these are all things why I'm teaching you. These are all is an added topic, guys, but still I want to cover all these things so that you know what is the power of using Postman. Okay, people always tell, okay, I use rest assured, I want to automate stuff. But if I was given a choice to choose between rest assured and Postman, I'll always choose Postman because I really like the way how it was built, and it was very easy to automate all those APIs with the help of Postman. Okay, at the same time, if I use a rest assured, it consumes a lot of time. Okay, I know better coding, I know Java, I know confident, I'm comfortable in creating a framework, but all that needs some efforts, right? I'm someone who is very lazy. If I was given a choice to choose, if you want to do something smart way or hard way, I always choose the smart way. So that's what you guys also, I'll suggest use Postman if you are in a position to automate APIs as much as possible. Okay, because it produces beautiful reports. It has all the things, right? Whatever you need, it provides all the things. You don't need to spend time in creating framework, doing all this Java code and other stuff. Very simple. Anyone can understand, even developers can understand, your product owners can understand. So it gives you brings you a lot of visibility. Okay, good. Then that's all about marking. You can also practice about this marking. And then let me know if you have any doubts now. If any doubts before we continue with our next topic.
The URL for that, which you said in the cloud, right? It doesn't change from day to day, right?
No, it won't change.
Okay.
Okay, and then mostly you will have 1,000 mark. You can create 1,000 mark per month. I think there is some numbers for a free version. Just check out those numbers. Okay, that's the maximum amount of marking that you can perform using free version of the Postman. Okay.
So, is this something related to similar to Ready API service virtualization?
Yes. Ready API is licensed one. It's we are going to see about SoapyWay next. You can also do all these things, whatever we have done here. We can also do this using SoapyWay or the Ready API. That's a version, that's a paid version of SoapyWay. But yeah, whatever the question you asked, yes, it's almost similar to that. Okay, you can do marking using many tools, guys. Okay, there are a lot of tools that can support marking. Okay, Postman is one such tool, SoapyWay is one such tool. You can use any of these. Okay, good. Have you worked with Ready API? I don't know who has asked that question. Who has asked this question?
Yeah, this is Kavi here. So
Yeah,
actually, in my team they are using it. So
we're going to see about SoapyWay in the coming classes. Okay, all we are going to work with a free version. So if you know, a free version doesn't have a lot of capabilities, but we still try to write some groovy scripting, and then we'll try to achieve whatever the features that are supported by the paid version of SOAPYY. So we're going to do all those stuff. Okay, that's the reason why I have covered Postman, SOAPYY, rest assured. Okay, in this course. Okay, because some company uses Postman, some company uses SOAPYY, that the ready API, some company uses rest assured for automation. So you should be in a position to work in any companies. Okay, because these are the three tools that are widely used in this market. Okay, so we'll cover all these things. So don't worry. Okay.
Yeah, Muthan, like I want to ask that, like I read this question somewhere. Let's say you are posting, like you are like giving the post call with incorrect data formats.
Mhm.
Okay, and in the response you are getting 200 okay.
Mhm.
So what will you do in that case?
What will you do? I'll ask this guy who developed that to build it correctly. That's it. That's the only thing we can do. See,
Yeah,
it's not that every time that I make a get request, okay, I get a 200 response back. Okay, normally people forget, they will give 201. Some post will give 201 created, some people will reply with 202, some people will return with 200 also. So it's not there is no protocol. Okay, so it's just an agreement or some basic benchmark that been set by people. Okay, so we follow this convention so that everyone understands what the server is telling. Okay, suppose Indigo is exposing its API. Okay, suddenly they are coming and telling, okay, we are giving 205 for you know uh, the post calls. Okay, that's not good, because everyone in the world understand that 201 is a very good response code that means created. Okay, so it's better to follow the conventions. Okay, it's not like we cannot do that. We can build it, we can build APIs that basically return you different response code, but it's not recommended to that. I will ask the developers to fix it and follow the conventions followed across the industry. That's going to be my answer.
okay, okay, Muthan, thank you.
Okay, uh, that's all about Postman, guys. I have covered almost all the topics related to Postman. How do we get API to test? Normally they will share you the Rohit is asking in real time, how do we get API to test? Okay, Rohit, they will give you collections. Rohit, developers will have all these APIs, okay, created in a form of collections. Okay, then if you hit this request, you get a response back. Normally in the manual testing, what do you normally do? We have to go and check whether the 200 is okay, whether the time is okay, all those stuff. But now you know how to create a test case. Then you add more test cases, what and all the validation you are doing manually, add it in the form of code so that anyone can do the testing. Okay, so even after developing, developers can also run the test, and then you can tell them, okay, this will automatically do the checking for you. Then they can also do the testing. Okay, so in normal case, they will give the collection. You just need to hit it and validate whether you are seeing right parameters in the right format. That's how the manual testing we are doing so far. Okay.
One small query, related to Postman, like in the bottom of the right hand side, we have a runner option.
Yeah.
What is the purpose of that?
So this is the same runner. So if you we have used a runner, right? Collection runner. We have used run collection, right? That's the same one here. Okay, this will basically open the runner tab for you, and then you can drag. Suppose I want to run my request collection, I can just drag and drop here. Okay, this screen is same as right clicking here and then run collection. This is same. Okay. You got it right. This is the same runner tag. Instead
Yes,
of
yes. Got it.
if you click this, click on run collection, it gives you this. Or you can also click this and then drag and drop the collection which you want to run. Okay, here it is asking, you can find your previous collection runs in history or import past, whatever you want to do. But I want to drag this collection, I want to run this collection, so I am dragging it. I don't want to run certain calls, then I run this. Okay, this is basically how we want to do it. Okay, this is just the same collection runner that we say. It's just a specific area that you can also use. Okay, that's absolutely fine.
Amazon, there is a delay field in this runner.
Okay, so we have already covered what is a delay, which means suppose after making the first get users call, okay, assume that you need to wait for 1000 milliseconds. That means 1 seconds before making this request. Then you can give this delay field. Okay, delay field is basically to wait for some time before sending the next request. Got it?
Thanks.
Okay. Suppose you are making some expensive post call, it is occupying some of your DB operations, whatever. In whatever the cases that you want to delay the next request, then you can use delay and then give the time in milliseconds. Okay, that's basically you can do. That's all about Postman, guys. I almost covered everything related to Postman. Yeah, let's move on to the next one. Okay, so this is the quick recap. In Postman, we have understood Postman can act as a web service client, right? Like how your Google Chrome can also act as a web service client. Your Postman is also one web service client, which helps us to construct a request and hit it onto a particular server. Okay, we can do a lot of manual testing with Postman. We can do automation testing. We have understood the data-driven approach where we used a CSV file to increase the number of iterations. We have done API mocking. We have done API monitoring. Okay, we have done schema validations using the tiny validator library, and we also done Newman integration. Okay, and we can also tell HTML extra, and this thing can be also integrated with Jenkins. Okay, whatever the code that we ran in Newman, it can be integrated with Jenkins. Okay, you just need to give that batch command there, and then it will execute that. Okay, and we'll also see how we can do the API documentation using Postman, and we can also see how we can share this collection with other people. Okay, either you share your workspace with them, or you can directly export them in a form of JSON, or you can directly give them a public URL from where they can fetch this information. Right. So that's all about Postman, and it's a very powerful tool. Please try to explore more. Then let me know if you have any doubts. Good. Now we have already covered what is REST, all those stuff. Now, if you notice in the sessions when we learn about web services, we have learned about three things. Okay, whether there is a SOAP, REST, and XML RPC. We are not going to touch this. We are not overall used nowadays. REST is what we have covered so far, and there is something called a SOAP. Okay, simple object access protocol. It's what it stands for. Okay, so what is a SOAP? Okay, that's what we're going to see it now. We have enough understanding about what is REST. Okay, it's a representational state transfer. Basically, we are transferring an information from one server to client, or from one system to another, in a easily understandable format, and it is agnostic. It is language agnostic, right? It can be parsed and understandable by any language, right, used by the client. Now there is something called a SOAP. SOAP is little different, right? In which ways? Okay, SOAP is something like this. Okay, let's assume you have arranged for some marriage and you want to send an invitation. Normally what people do, they will just send the invitation card itself. That's what REST is. REST doesn't have any envelopes over it, or something like that. It was not covered by anything. Okay, so though we haven't seen about the authentications or authorization mechanism so far, I'm keeping it as a separate topic so that we can discuss about that later. But if you just imagine you are sending your postcard to someone, you normally send the card itself, right? If it's of least value, right? But imagine you are sending your MacBook Pro as a courier to someone. What do? You do a lot of wrapping, right? You have your envelopes over it. Okay, that's what SOAP is all about. Previously, before REST arrives, everyone was using SOAP. Okay, because they thought that's the most mature and safe mechanism to transfer information. But yeah, after REST, everyone started to move to REST because it is lightweight. It doesn't have all this envelopes, all those stuff. But yeah, SOAP is something, the information is here, guys. Okay, if you notice, okay, maybe I'll use this annotation tool. So if you go to this, whatever the information that you want to transfer is here. Okay, so this is wrapped inside a SOAP body. Okay, and like always, we have a header block here also. In SOAP also we have SOAP headers where you transfer important information, metadata informations, like we do in REST. Okay, but importantly, we have an envelope. Okay, which tells what and all the information that is available inside. Okay, let's take an example. Okay, let's take an example. This is an example of a SOAP request. Okay, so if you notice, this is the envelope that I'm speaking about. XML NS. NS means namespace. which means suppose Make My Trip and Indigo has made an agreement that they will transfer information via SOAP calls, not via REST calls. In those cases, they will purchase a namespace and then they will have certain things in there. Okay, they will have something defined. Okay, how we are going to send the information, guys. At the end of the day, we just need to transfer information from one system to another system. That's it. In SOAP we have envelopes. Okay, this envelopes basically tells what kind of encoding they are using, the Make My Trip and Indigo is using, what kind of namespace that they have saved this. And if in the header they may transfer some important information like authentication headers, all those important information that they feel needs to be transferred, they all put it inside the header. In the body tag is where they keep all their messages. Previously we transferred employee information, so those information will be inside the body tag. Previously in REST, the responses, if they're having some errors, we are mentioning them using response code and then even the response message. But in SOAP, you always need to have a tag called as fault tag. Inside that fault tag only you can give all these things. Why there is so much of strictness here? Because SOAP is a protocol and it has to be followed religiously. You cannot skip it. Okay, if there is an error message, you need to have a fault tag and then you need to have your message. Suppose this is not a valid request, something like this, server not found, you're not something, whatever the error message you have, you need to keep it in the inside the fault tag. So this is basically a protocol or something that you need to definitely follow, right? This is defined by some organization called W3C. Okay, we call it as W3C. So this is the basic difference. SOAP is simple object access protocol. Basically, it has a lot of envelopes over the information. So this is much safer than the rest one. Rest is basically your representational state transfer. This is defined by WSDL, okay, Web Service Definition Language. So you need to follow this in order to create a SOAP request. It is controlled. Who defining this rules? WC3 is the guys who are defining this. And where it is maintained in UDDI. Let's say in case of Java, we have Maven repository, Maven central repo. Okay, this is where we store all our Maven artifacts, right? The same way, okay, the all your namespaces that we purchase will be stored in UDDI. It's kind of registry. That's a place where you store all your SOAP related stuff. Okay. And in case of REST, there is no protocol, no strict protocol. And then you can also do the caching with the help of REST. It is also stateless, that we understood. But in case of SOAP, it can be state as well. But REST is always stateless. Only if it is stateless, we call it as a RESTful APIs. Okay. SOAP needs more bandwidth because other than the information, this is the real information. We're also adding envelopes, a lot of other stuff. Okay, so it basically occupies more bandwidth when doing the transfer. That's why people moved away from SOAP to REST, and SOAP can only work with XML. Okay, so whatever the request you send, whatever the response you get, everything is XML. Okay, you need to pass those information, understand the languages, whatever. But in case of REST, you can transfer information in the JSON, XML, text, and HTML. In case of Google or Make My Trip, the response is coming in the form of HTML. Okay, so this is possible with REST, but in SOAP it is tightly coupled with XML. It is highly secure because it has envelopes, it has headers, it has a lot of wrapping over the real message. So it is highly secure. But it is also secure. REST is also secure, but it is not that secure when compared to SOAP. But it doesn't mean RESTs are not safe. Okay, not secure. This is a difference between SOAP and REST. Okay, guys. If you still cannot understand what is a SOAP or what is a REST, that's completely all right. Because after I learned REST issued, it took almost 1 year for me to understand all these things. So it is completely fine. Nobody is going to ask you all these things, but it's very important to understand the basics. But it can take time. Okay, it's something like you feel it rather you learn it. Okay, so it may take time. Give the time. Okay, no worries. Okay, now let's take a simple analogy that we know. Since we are all Java developers, we have Java code. Okay, this is similar to your SOAP web service. Okay, we store all this. Suppose let's say I have a library called as a faker library. It is denoted by using group ID, artifact ID, all those stuff. Okay, I have some definition for this. This same kind of definition is for a web service is mentioned in with WSDL. Okay, we call it as WSDL. When we speak about it, when we write, write it as WSDL. Okay, so if your developers are telling something like WSDL, which means web service definition language. Okay, we store all our Java code in our libraries in Maven Center repositories. In case of SOAP, we store them in UDDA. UDDA is basically a registry. Okay, that's it. So even if you don't understand, that's completely all right, because we're going to learn a lot of things about SOAP now. Okay. So that's all about, suppose this is a comparison. Okay, suppose in case of SOAP, okay, if you notice, this is the XML version, this is the envelope we have. In the body, we have the real message, the get employee 123, all those things. The only thing that we want to tell the server is we want the information about 123 employee. Okay, in case of REST, it is very simple. I hit an endpoint with a path parameter of 123 as a get call, get HTTP call, you get the response back. But in case of SOAP, you need to do a lot of operation. You were transferring a lot of information. That's why we always say SOAP is very expensive, and people moved away from SOAP to REST. Okay. In case of SOAP, most probably we are making a post call for everything. Even for this, we will make a post call. Okay. So that's the difference between SOAP and REST. Now this example may be an eye opener on how easy to use REST instead of a SOAP. Okay. So we have learned about Postman. Now we also learned about query and path parameters. Yeah. Now we're going to learn about a new tool called as SoapyWay. Okay. So to download SoapyWay, again, guys, go to the SoapyWay free version download for Windows. For me, I'm just using Windows. If you are using any other operating system, download based on that. Just click on download, and then it will download a exe file for you. Just double click on it. Just normal installation process, no settings, nothing like that. Just install it. Okay. Once you install, you can open it. Okay, so I'm using the latest version. Please use the latest version because they have changed a lot from their older version. Use their latest version. Okay. Again, SoapyWay is also one of the client. Okay, web service client. Okay, we can construct a request using SoapyWay and send it to a particular endpoint. Okay. If you notice, I already have 2 projects. In your case, you might not be having that. That's absolutely fine. But if you take a look at this dashboard, okay, you have some important links here. One of them that I want to cover is their documentation. Okay, their documentation is very, very clear. So just click on this documentation link. If you want to work with any of these SOAP related things, they have everything documented. Okay, so all this information are documented for you. Basically, you can go step by step and then you can understand it. Since I have gone through all of them, so I'm going to explain it whatever here in this particular documentation. But if you have a doubt, okay, if you have a doubt, then you can go and then you can read it from here. But basically, SoapyWay can provide a lot more things than Postman. Okay, in case of JDBC connection is something that is very unique. In case of Postman, if you want to interact with the Oracle DB or your MySQL database, okay, only if those are having endpoints, you can use those endpoints to interact with them. But you cannot write some queries, select star from those employee tables, where you cannot do those. Okay, because that is not possible in Postman. But in case of SoapyWay, that is also possible. You can make JDBC connections like how we have a jar file to make a connections. Okay, see, they have clearly written you can connect to an MySQL, Postgres database. All these databases you can connect. Okay, how they are telling clearly what is the driver, what is the host name, what is the port number, what is the username, password, what is the database name, everything you can give, and then click on connect. Then you can basically connect and then work with JDBC also. Okay, you can also help you to connect with databases. Okay, and what else? You can test your REST APIs, you can test your SOAP APIs, you can do load testing with SoapyWay. It's very, very easy, guys, to load some do performance testing using SoapyWay. Basically, the paid version has a lot of other benefits, but yeah, even in the free version, they have some limited capabilities. We can also leverage that. If you are someone who wants to do API load testing, you can also easily do the load testing with the help of this. Okay. And then you can also do security testing, which something that I haven't explored about it, but you can also have a look at it. And you can do SOAP marking, you can do REST marking. That is what we have done before, because we have marked those responses, right? The same thing you can do. You can do data driven testing. Yes, you can do. You can do test automation. No, we'll come to the what two later, but you can also do API monitoring, which we have seen here. API monitors we have seen, right? The same thing you can also do with the help of SoapyWay. Okay, and then you can import your Postman collections here. Okay, you can do a lot of scripting using Groovy or JavaScript. Since I'm someone from the Java background, I feel using Groovy is much similar to Java, so I am also going to use Groovy. If you're comfortable using JavaScript, you can also use that. And you can also use JMS connections. You can also try out all these things. Okay, but basically it has a lot of things. Something that is of my interest is JDBC and then load testing. Okay, these two things are very easy with the help of SoapyWay, which is not possible in the case of Postman. Okay, so good. Now let's try to work with some APIs and then see how we can do it. Some basic things, and then tomorrow we will dive deep into SoapyWay. We will understand all those intricacies. We'll do a comparison with Postman, how this is different from Postman or how this is similar with Postman. But yeah, let's try to work with the same API that we have worked. Okay, maybe I have something called as a regress collection, right? So we have regress endpoints and we made a call to this. We'll try to use that. Okay, click on file. Okay, this is a REST project, right? Click on new REST project, and then it's asking me what is the endpoint that you want. Okay, let's go here. Regress.in. You can use any APIs. Okay, for now. So I'm copying this and then /API/users, whatever. Okay, this is the one that if I want to get all the information, click on OK. So if you notice, it has created a project for me, and then it has created a request. This is the base URL. This is your resource, that is /API/users. Okay, in Postman we will have everything in one place. Here SoapyWay will separate it into different things. Okay, even if you have path parameters, you can add it here. Okay, but let's try to make a get call. So this is a get method that I'm choosing. Okay, you can choose from the list of options here, the same way how we have here. Okay, we have a option to choose the HTTP method. The same options is available here. Okay, let's try to hit on. So if you notice, we got the response, but there is a tab here. Okay, if it is HTML, you have to view it here. Since this is a JSON, we have to click on the JSON tab to see the response. Okay, this is the same response that we got here. Okay, maybe I need to change the environment. Okay, so if you notice, it's the same response that we got. Okay, here also we are getting the same response. So basically, SoapyWay and Postman are basically web service client, which can help you to construct request and hit it. Let's say I want to make this particular call. Okay, get user, and then I need to pass an ID, and then I want to get the value. Okay, maybe here I'll remove this and then I'll use int. Okay, we are getting some response back. So in this case, I need to use a path parameter of ID. Okay, just click on this plus button. This is basically ID, and what is the value? So let's say I want to generate. Is this a query parameter? See, it is automatically added. It's just a query parameter. Okay, but this is, in my case, it's a path parameter. So what I can do? It's a click on plain. Okay, and now it should basically. Okay, let's try to make a request. Giving me back like this. It should be, or basically it should directly give this. Just remove this. I don't want this. It should actually empty JSON content. Okay, let's hard code this here. Now we are getting the best response back. Is this format? I don't know. I forgot the format, guys. Just a minute. I remember like this, but okay, whatever. So here you can choose it. Okay, maybe if you want to also mention something like this, query parameter. Okay, I want to make a query parameter like this. Okay, question mark page equal to 2. Okay, let's go here. Question mark page equal to 2. Okay, this is a query parameter. I can change this to query parameter. I'll click on get. Now we are getting the back. So basically the path parameter, I'm missing something. I will let you know. I will try it out tomorrow and then let you know. Okay, but for now, just understand here is the place where you can choose all these things. Okay, suppose you want to pass some headers. Okay, previously in Postman, we have a separate tab for headers where you mention all these headers. Okay, here you have to choose this, and then there is you can choose. Suppose let's say I want to tell accept header, and then I want to tell application slash JSON, something like this. And here this is one I want this to be header, so just click on header. Okay, this is like a header. Okay, you are telling I am going to accept application JSON. Okay, so if you want to pass a header, you need to use just to change the style. Okay, in case of Postman, we pass the parameters here, we pass the headers here, we pass the body here. But in case of SoapyWay, the headers and parameters are all here only. Okay, and you can also do the assertions like we normally do in Postman. Okay, just click on this particular tag. If you want to also make assertions, then just right click this and then add to test case. Okay, you cannot directly assert something here because this is like your project. We will not touch with this. Okay, you just need to create a test case. Okay, just create test case. It will create a test suite because test cases group of test cases is test suite. So you need to create a test case. Okay, I need to create a test case and then just close this existing request, close the current window. This means it will close this window, opens the new test case. Yes, I want that. Opens the request editor for the creator system. Okay, just click on OK. Now this is the one that it gets created. Just click on request. Why this is not getting closed? Okay, maybe I'll go to this particular one. So it has a lot of test step. You can have a lot of test step, but in my case, I'm just on this. I'm getting the response. If you notice, there is something called as assertions here, where you can go and then create assertions. Here we have created assertions here, right? The same way you can create it here. Okay, assertions. First, click on this plus button. Okay, suppose I want to verify whether the response is within a particular time limit. Okay, just click on this. What is the time limit, maximum time limit we can give? Okay, I want to have the response below 500 milliseconds. Okay, so this is basically the assertions that you can write. Okay, and then suppose you want to validate whether the schema is correct, whether you want to check JSON path. Okay, all these things, but we will dive deep into that later. But for now, just understand I want to validate the status codes. Okay, invalid HTTP. Okay, but I want to script assertion. We'll do that later. Property content. Okay, I want to check whether it is containing. Okay, let's take. I want to contain whether it is containing maybe Michael. Okay, something like this. Michael. You want to ignore the cases, then you can also check this. I click on OK. Okay. Template for path variable. Okay, okay. Maybe yeah, that's what I'm missing. So we'll see that later. But anyways, I'm just giving you an idea what are all things we can do in SOAPyWay. This is not the complete thing. We will dive deep into one by one later. Okay, don't worry about it. So we are just covering what are so we can write some assertions like this, and we also can do mocking. Okay, that is also possible with the help of SOAPyWay. So like someone told, let's also try their this is the resources. Click on this request. It's not opening this properly. Sometimes their free versions will be like this. Okay, it will not open properly. So at the time there is no other way apart from closing everything and opening it. Otherwise, exit your SOAPyWay. No, I don't want to save. If you want to save this, you can save this. Maybe I will save it now. Okay, it will just save it in a XML format. Okay, let's just click on OK and then again open it. Sometimes it will be like this. It won't open it properly. In those cases, you need
Amuthan, like before we proceed further, so can you tell us like how much use we are like how much soap UI is used and which like organizations are using it? Like, is it so much important?
Not much, Silas, because not many projects are now using soap. But with soap UI is just a client. Okay, with that you can test your REST services as well as the soap. Even in Postman, you can test the soap services. My intention is not to work with soap. My intention is to cover the soap UI features. That's it.
Okay.
Not many organizations use a soap now. They all updated to GraphQL. Okay, they are either using REST or they have updated themselves to GraphQL. Okay, I will tell you what is that. But before that, instead of query, maybe I'll give a template that this guy suggests. Okay, now this is okay. Now this is correct. If I want to get particular information, I can. Okay, now we are getting the response back. Okay, but this is not having the slash, so I need to put the slash here. Now we are getting the information. Okay, so yeah, for path parameter you need to mention template as the style. Okay, so this is the important thing. Okay, I have used plain, that is when all went wrong, but yeah, that's fine. Okay, since we are using multiple tools, this is very common that I cannot remember everything. Okay, so because each tool uses different stuff, so it's okay as long as we know to search and get the required information. Good guys, so it's all about it. And maybe I'll cover what is a GraphQL. It's a very important question whether people are using soap nowadays. Okay, if you go to the this particular thing, okay, we have a body. Okay, in body if there is an option called as GraphQL. Okay, does any of you know what is GraphQL? We have learned about REST, we have learned about soap. What is GraphQL? Anyone knows what is GraphQL? No. Okay, good. So the problem with REST, first we need to understand why people adopted uh, GraphQL. Okay, the problem with the REST services is basically, suppose I want to get an information about an user. Okay, let's say I'm getting this information from the user, but here my only intention is to get the first name. Okay, my intention is not to get the entire details. I just want to get, since I know the id is 11, first name is this. Okay, in case of database, what we normally do, select star from employees where id select, I don't want to select star, I want to select first name from employees where id equal to 11. This is the kind of query language that we normally write. Correct? That is very specific, right? Instead of select star, select first underscore name is very specific, and we only want that information. Why we have to fetch all this information and then we need to use a JSON path to get this information? So the intention, the problem with REST is, even though you are looking for one specific piece of information that may not be available exactly in a form of API, so you need to hit some bigger APIs, parse that information and get the information that you want. That is very problematic, right? See, we are in a fast moving world, guys. Okay, though this are all happening in less than 124 milliseconds, if you just fetch the first name itself, it will take you only 25 milliseconds. Okay, so 25 milliseconds is always better than 125 milliseconds, correct? So that's when GraphQL comes into picture. Okay. GraphQL is found by someone, Facebook. Okay, this is found by Facebook because previously, you all imagine, we are all 90s kids or maybe 80s kids. Yeah, so we all know how painful it was to use Facebook years back. Okay, we need to if you want to send a message to someone, you just need to send a message, go back, and then again wait for their response. Okay, then you need to reload the page continuously, right? All those nonsense was there. And then while loading the Facebook also, it will take a lot of time, because to get a information, it makes a lot of API calls. Okay, sometimes in this case, suppose if I want a first name, then I just make an call to this and then get the first name. Sometimes I want to hit 3 or 4 requests. First I need to get the For getting the ID itself, I need to make a request. Then I need to make another request. Then I need to make another request. So I need to do a lot of response request chaining in order to fetch a particular piece of information. But in case of GraphQL, you just write a query. Okay. Tomorrow I'll give some examples with the GraphQL. Okay. So you just write a query to, and then just mention, I want this the first name. Okay. It will just basically fetch you the first name. Okay. So based on this, the Facebook has implemented GraphQL, and then their Facebook growth have started after they implemented GraphQL, because it makes Facebook's to load more contents in a faster way. So people never get bored. You scroll continuously, it pops you with some information. Previously, it took a lot of time to fetch that information. After GraphQL, the time required to fetch those information becomes smaller, so that you keep scrolling. It will give you some random mediatic post, whatever, but somehow it will give you post. Okay, that's the beauty about GraphQL. Okay, if someone is asking what is GraphQL, you should be in a position to tell graph query language. Okay, it is most probably used to get specific information. Okay, in case of REST, previously we were using a REST. We are making a lot of expensive calls. To avoid that, we are using GraphQL. Even in my project, we are using microservices. It uses GraphQL because okay, previously it was very slow with the REST calls. Then we moved to GraphQL. Now it was really fast than before, and I could see the differences. Okay, GitHub is using GraphQL. Okay, Facebook is using GraphQL. There are a lot of company that is using GraphQL. You can just Google companies using GraphQL. Okay, you'll get a lot of success stories, learn about all these things. Okay, it's very important. Not just we just work on our office work. We also need to understand how good companies or successful companies are using, what technology they are using. Okay, that's very important in order to keep ourselves updated. Okay, if you just write query in query, it will fetch response directly, or developers must implement GraphQL. They should write some code in order to get that back. Okay, so we don't have to worry about it. But in our case, it's just a query, so it needs to understand that query and then give you the response back, right? For that, there needs to be some efforts. Okay, that should be always there. But the time and the specific value will fetch from the database. Okay, so don't worry about it. But it's not a lot of work. It's very easy work. Okay, good guys, I think we are already on time. So we will cover everything in detail about the SOAPUI tomorrow. Do we use marking in real time? Yes, I used marking in real time because our vendor, there is one payment vendor, he normally don't delivers on time. So these people will ask me, have you done the testing? Have you done the testing? So in those cases, I'll use marking. If in your project, if they are not using it, that's absolutely fine. We just learn about everything, right? When there is a need, we can use it. But if there is no need, then don't use it. But learn everything. That's the important thing. Okay.
Amutan, you said like we have to get the first name, okay, through GraphQL. So can't we just like get it through patch, like in data first name?
See,
So
patch is something that is used to update. Okay, patch is something that is used to update a specific field. Okay, but in case of getting the information, right, it's not just we were looking for only first name. Okay, sometimes I just want the first name and avatar. Okay, something like that. Okay, in those cases, maybe the first name is available in this API, and then if you want to get that avatar, maybe that is available in another endpoint. Okay, you need two information. For two information, you are hitting two REST calls. Okay, but in case of GraphQL, you can combine those into one particular query, and then you can fetch those two information. So that's the beauty about using GraphQL. Okay, so
okay,
it's
thank you.
not just you can optimize the time alone. It can also optimize. Yeah, it is an open source. You can also optimize the number of calls that you are making. Okay, but normally, guys, the request and response will not be very small in case of real-time APIs. Okay, real APIs will have a response very big. Okay, maybe it's of 500 KBs. Okay, it's very huge response. Okay, in those cases, we are getting 500 KB of information. Passing them is again a difficult task. You need to get that information, very difficult. Rather, you use a GraphQL query, everything will be fetched in a minute. So within a second, right? So that's the beauty about GraphQL. don't worry about too much, guys. Okay, just store it as an added information. Maybe if you hear someone is speaking about GraphQL, instead of saying no, now you know something about GraphQL. That's how you have to see it. Okay, whenever you're learning something new, you are better than before, right? So just see it like that. Don't try to rush through things and then try to get everything out of it. Take it slow. Okay, you need enough time to digest all those information. So give that time. Okay, you should be in a fine position. Okay. Uh, any other questions from anyone else? Okay, no, I see there is no more questions from the chat as well as voice. Otherwise, we'll wrap today and then we will continue tomorrow. Okay, guys, tomorrow we are going to dive deep into SOAPUI. Okay, we're going to do a lot of things with SOAPUI. We are going to do the data-driven testing, how we done with Postman. The same way we are going to do the data-driven testing, but this time we are going to use Excel. We're going to write some groovy scripting. Groovy scripting will be really interesting. We'll also do that. Okay, so yeah, we are going to do all these things, but just install the SOAPUI and then be ready. Okay, we are going to play around with SOAPUI. Okay. See you guys. You all have a very good day. I'll see you tomorrow in another good session. Yeah.
Yeah, we have class on tomorrow or on Friday.
Tomorrow is Wednesday, right? So yeah.
Tomorrow
So
is Thursday.
Thursday we'll have a break, and then Friday and Saturday we'll cover this SOAPUI. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So Thursday is always our rest day. So yeah, we can cover it on Friday and Saturday, and then those 2 days I can cover the SOAPUI, and then you can practice for a couple of days. Again, we'll start with rest assured. I don't think I can cover it in 2 days. Let's see. It's based upon time. Maybe we will see how we can do it. Okay. Yeah, we will take a break tomorrow. Maybe on Wednesday we can connect. But very important, guys, if you have doubts, please reach out to me. I haven't seen someone pinging me with doubts. No one has reached out to me. So please practice along with me. Otherwise you don't understand. Okay, you are spending some money, so please make enough use of it. Okay. I'm okay to help you guys.